Okay. Okay, so we start our second part of the presentation. Okay, so after the video, you know the SDS for the safety data sheet. Now it's 4 years ago there's a material safety data sheet, but now they correct it as the safety data sheet, no M. So technically you should print out all the SDS for your chemical reagents, all of the reagents storage in your laboratory. So if bad situation happen to you, you can get the SDS immediately. But usually, as I said in the beginning, lots of reagents only test for once or 2 times, then will store there for a long time. So the SDS, I think, for the usually used reagents are necessary to print out all the SDS in your laboratory, and the SDS will update it maybe 1 or 2 years. The GHS will update the SDS, then you need to update that. But I think during your stay at NTSD, you just need to know your major reagents, the SDS of your major reagents is enough. Okay, so if you go to a GHS system, you can reach that through the website here, and the GHS are constructed by Taiwan. So if you use the English version, you cannot go inside. So you need to use the Chinese version to have this one, because they need you to register first. Then you can register inside and you can use the website. So maybe ask your Chinese co-workers to help you to register one here. Register first, and then you can sign in. Then you can have the hazardous material data here. Then you can sign in Chinese name or English name for the reagents. For example, if you type in ethanol, then you can have the all the ethanol data for the SDS. So you can choose which one is your ethanol. So the database is not so smart. They will show you the ethanol related reagents, maybe the ethanol, whatever. So lots of ethanol related reagents. So you can see here, you can download the PDF, then you can get the SDS for the reagents. So make sure you know exactly of your reagents. Then what's the hazardous will generated from reagents is very important. So even for the ethanol, it's usually commonly used in chemical laboratories. Ethanol is hazardous for human. So now in Taiwan, the ethanol are well restricted now compared with maybe 10 years ago. You can buy everywhere, but now you cannot buy ethanol anywhere. Okay. So less is better is a concept for the reagents. Why? You can see the cost here. If you buy 1 liter, the purchase price is very expensive, you think. Like you buy in a Costco, they will tell you if you buy 4-gallon milks, it's cheaper because compared with 1 liter milk, the 4-gallon chip is much cheaper. They will tell you that. But for the reagents, the price is very expensive for 1 liter compared with 4 liter. But if you only use 2 liter, then you need to expose another additional 2 liters. Then you can see the expense for every liter. You can see here. So the purchase plus disposal cost now for the 4 liter is very expensive, much more expensive than the 1 liter because you use them all. This situation now happened at Ainer in my workplace. 20 years ago, lots of my co-workers, former co-workers buy lots of reagents stored in everywhere. So now the regulations in Taiwan are restricted. So we need to clean all the reagents. The disposal rate is very high, higher than you buy a new one. So if I want to dispose 1 liter ethanol, maybe it costs you 200 NT dollars. But you can use the same price to buy a new one. So for the disposal cost, it's very expensive now in Taiwan. I think in everywhere the regulations are very restrict. So the disposal cost is very expensive. So just only buy enough amounts for your experiment. Don't buy too much. Okay. Then I jumped to the real cases one. It happened in 2016, 11 p.m. Two students doing an experiment at E2 buildings. Then for the battery experiment, so the battery liquid is spread in one's eyes, then another person's hands. So you can see if those two students are hurt. Okay. Then case 2 is happened in 2017. Graduate students pour the acidic waste into the bucket on February 24. So another one throw another reagents in the no. So they put in the same bucket. So those reagents reacted in the garbage bucket. And then the smoke fired in the next day. So you cannot imagine those two reagents still reacted in the bucket. So just be cautioned. Okay, so only 2 real cases for the chemical reagents. I can show you another hazards, real case at NTSD. Then we go to the second part of the electrical hazards. Maybe some of you have already, I have had the electrical hazards presentation maybe 1 month ago. So if you want go to the more detail of the electrical hazards, you can go to the presentation. And here I just remind you briefly of the electrical hazards. Lots of major lab fires are caused by these hazards, by the electrical hazards. Even usually from the equipment, or will cause personnel injuries in universities. And some cases will get personnel electrical shock. So you will be shocked by the electricity. Some of them are recoverable, but some of them not. But at campus, they are recoverable. So common causes are the uncertified installation, like this one. The breakers are only installed on the wood, not in a steel box, then covered by plastic or steel. Then the electrical cause with conditions, like this one. Usually the plugs are not installed very well, and overuse of extension cords. I think even in your dormitory, not in your laboratory, those situations happens always. So overuse of extension cords is commonly happened in the laboratory. But in the dormitory, I think it is okay because your usage of the juice is not so extensive compared with the laboratory use. So in the laboratory, equipment usually will consume more electricity. So if those equipment are operated simultaneously, the extension cords are overused, then the fire will caught, then maybe your laboratory will be damaged. Okay, so here it's not inappropriate installation of the breakers. it need to covered, oh no, sorry, it need to covered by another steel or plastic plate to cover this breaker, then another box to cover them. So in the past, we think this one is enough, but no. If you install like this one, if the breakers is broken or electricity are leaking, if you touch this box, you will be get shock. So now they will install another box inside to cover the breaker, then the box outside. So you can go to your laboratory to check if your breakers only installed on this way. It's not correct. And another one is this. The plugs and the wires are broken. So the shortage, electricity shortage will occur here, then you will damage yourself or maybe cause fire. So all switches have to be protected by a cover plate. This one, as I know in Taiwan, in recent years they are focusing on this one. In the past, they usually install like this one, but now we are asked to install like this one. Okay, so you need to have the insulations to protect yourself from the electricity. Okay, then we already mentioned that, especially in the chemical or chemical engineering department, usually they will have lots of washes for the unit rolls. So lots of equipment or extensions are nearby the sink to prevent this, unless put the extension cords on the ground is safer. Okay. So it's the best way to install the wires on the ground. But I think in the laboratory, you don't have so much space. So just clear the wire on the ground in another way or use the tape to fix them. Okay. So the extension electrical cords by the circuit breakers with overload protection here. I think some of you have the experience. If you overuse the extension cords, the circuit breaker will jump out. So you need to pull these circuit breakers in, then restart the extension cords, then you can use that again. So by extension cords with overload protection to remind you the extension cords are overused. And usually you go to the sellers to buy maybe 99 cents NT 99 NT dollar extension cords. Don't buy that. It's too cheap. Please buy 299 NT dollars extension cords to charge your 2000 US dollars iPhone. Because your iPhone was 2000 US dollars, but only you buy 99 NT dollars extension cords. So buy more expensive extension cords is safer because they have the overload protection. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Okay, I will show you the electrical safety videos. I think this video is very good, but as not you are professionals in here or you are not the electrical related workers. So I think some situations you don't meet. This video is usually for the workers of the electricity. Yeah, if you install equipment to cut off the electricity first. You don't need to do that, but you need to know if you want to stop that or operate that. Be careful. Pay attention to the caution nearby your laboratory. I think is end. Okay. Yeah, it's it. Okay. So this video is for the professional electricity operators. So you just need to know the cautions nearby your laboratory or your nearby equipment will be installed. The first time you need to be cautioned of the voltage. Okay, so the real case is very commonly seen in the campus. This one is very serious in USA in 2016 in University of Hawaii. So the postdoctoral researcher Luz and arm was caused by a spark from a digital pressure gauge. The experiment she's doing is very horrible, I think. She's mixing 70% hydrogen with 25% oxygen. So does anyone know which kind of concentration of the hydrogen will explode? The minima concentration. Do you know? The minima concentration of hydrogen is 3%. More than 3% of hydrogen will explode it very easily. So you can imagine the 70% hydrogen mixed with 25% oxygen. So this operation is very, I think, dangerous. So it's the consequence of the explosion. So I only use these photos. You can see lots of blood nearby. So she's working here, I think here. So all of the of her laboratory are destroyed, and also she was, I think, stayed in the hospital for 1 month, I think, or more than. So the static shocks are triggers for the explosion. You know static shocks, right? How to say it? In the winter, if you turn off your sweaters, the small electricity occurred on your clothes. It's the static shocks. The static shocks occurred and triggered the explosion. So like 70-gram TNT bombs. So she is very seriously damaged. So the students and her parents sued University of Hawaii. How can you operate those dangerous procedures? But her supervisor said she did not discuss with her supervisor in advance because she changed the procedures. her supervisor did not know she will change to this situation. So now they are still in the law, suing each other. Okay. Okay. So the real case 2 are here. NTST is a very lucky near miss cases. The students caught electric shock, and because he touched the high voltage transformer on the floor and caused burns on his right elbow. I think it's a very lucky case for him. Then 2014 is not very lucky because it's the electrical hazards, but the fire broke out in the E2 building, and no one hurt. But you can see the laboratory are wholly destroyed. I think at least the equipment are destroyed. I do not know if these students will be delayed for graduation. I did not know, but I think he and his co-workers need to recover all the equipment and the laboratory. Takes them maybe 3 or 4 months. Okay, then this one. Even the newspapers have the videos, have the photos and videos online. So you can see the fires is very big. Okay, here. Okay, so the caution of this fire is the overuse of the extension. You can see that inappropriate use of extension cords. So you can see the fires here. Only the overuse of extension. So if you buy the extension in Taiwan by certified, you will have the CNS mark on the extension cords. So by the CNS certified extension cords to make sure your extension cords are good enough for your usage. Okay. Then we go to the third hazards of the mechanical hazards. I think this video I will only show you one because that's a horrible videos you can see on YouTube. And be aware of moving machineries. Moving machines is very dangerous. If the girls, not only girls, I think some men have long hairs. If you have long hairs, long hairs, be cautious of the rotating machines. Because I watched a real case video. Ladies was only nearby the rotating machines. Machines are like this big. It's rotating very fast. The ladies are only nearby, and her hair is very long. And the rotating, there's a how to say it? There's a motivation of wind, so your hair will go inside the rotating machine, right? So the girl's hair just be caught by the rotating machine, and then all of her hair and his skin of the skull was off. It's horrible. The operator of the machine was scared, just run away in the video. I was looking for the video very long time, but I cannot see that because I watched the video because they go to the accidents to deal with that, so they have the video. So it only takes 1 minute, 1 second or 2 seconds, the girl is dead. So just very cautious of the mechanical hazards of the rotating machines. It's very horrible. Okay, so like this one, and those one. I think all of them have the emergency stop. But in that situation I described, you didn't even have enough time to push the emergency stop. Just 1 second. So for the rotating machines now, they will covered by very hard or steel covers to protect your finger or your hair or your some parts of your body to touch the rotating machines. Okay, and these girls with long hairs, it happened in 2011. She died in Yale University because of I figure out the pronunciation, but it's very difficult. Asphyxia. You know, you cannot breathe. It means you cannot breathe because of neck compression. Her hair is caught by the machine, then she's she's she cannot breathe, then she dead. So she's doing the rotating machines experiment, and she walked alone. So in other slides, we'll tell you if you are doing the experiment, do not walk alone. At least tell your coworkers what you are doing. If you want to do your experiment at 10 p.m., tell your coworkers you will do the experiment at 10 p.m. Then they will know you are doing the experiment in the laboratory. Do not walk alone in your laboratory, especially in the evening. It's very dangerous for you. If something happened, there's not enough time and enough personnel to help you. Okay, so it's the real case happened in 2019 at NTUST. The experienced technician are drilling the samples from experiment. So do you know do you need to put on your gloves or not when you are operating the machines? Yes or no? No, yes. Do not put on the gloves when you are doing the rotating machines, because if you are got caught, the gloves will I don't know how to say that, to accompanied with your finger inside the rotating machines. So it's very dangerous. You cannot put on the gloves, but the experienced technician put on his gloves to operate that. So it's very lucky because only his fingers are cut. So to be aware of the rotating machines. Okay, then why he will get hurt? Because he do not clean his debris with the high pressure air sprayer. He used his fingers to clean the machine with gloves. So it's very dangerous. You need to stop the rotating machines, then clean that. Okay, so it's the videos I will show you. It's not horrible. It will only show you what's the consequences of the rotating machines. Oh, it's very old. Yeah, those machines are very dangerous. Especially yeah, if your head are caught by the rotating machines, will be like this one. Okay. Yeah, this part. Prevent your clothes go into the rotating machines, especially hairs. Girls or with men with long hairs to tie up your hair. You can see. If you don't wear the glasses to have the goggles for your eyes. Now usually you will put this one on the machine, right? What is it? Okay. And for the that for the last one is that my coworker, I think it's 10 years ago, my coworkers are fixing the machines, and he put a sign outside of the equipment say it's working on. But when he's finished the working, just go outside. There's one of my coworkers just turn on the machines. Then he's shocked. Why I put a warning outside? You turn on the machine. Another coworker said, I think the sign are how to say it outdated. Another coworker said thinks the signs are not work anymore, so he turned on the light. So it's very lucky for my coworkers. He just finished the machine, but someone just turned on the light. So you can imagine if he's working on the machine, then someone turn on the light, turn on the machine, what will be happened? Even for the electrical shock or for the cutting. So if you put a sign outside of the machine says you are fixing that or this machine are out of order, put a date on that to show everyone no the machine are working or now you are working on. It's very dangerous. Okay, so the last part is this one. The fourth part of the hazards I mentioned is the high pressure gas cylinders, tanks or vessels. I think lots of departments don't have the high pressure gas cylinders. I think in the chemical or chemical engineering departments will have high pressure gas cylinders. So professional suppliers will ship the cylinders to your laboratory for your use. Then you will install the gauge to monitor the pressure inside. But the pressure and the composition inside the cylinders is very dangerous. Lots of pressure gauges have high pressure, more than 7 kilograms per centimeters. So the pressure is very high stored in the cylinder. Be aware of that. So the main cylinder valves should be closed. This one, I think. This one. This is the main cylinder valves. Then you use the how to say it, the gauge to monitor the pressure. Then use the gas outside. So the main cylinder valve should be closed if you finish the experiment. But usually you will put on the how to call it, the wrench on the cylinder, because next time you use that you will open that easily. But now suggest you to remove the wrenches out of the cylinders, because maybe some people will turn on the vessel and you do not know that. So remove the wrench if you do not use the cylinder, and use the how to say that, the cap. If the cylinders are empty or are newly bought, use the cap inside on top of the valves to protect the valves, and to show you are not using that before you use that. But lots of laboratories put the cylinders like this one. Okay. And the colors outside of the vessel cylinders is different. For example, the black one is the oxygen. Why is black one? Because oxygen is very dangerous. Usually you will see the oxygen cylinders in the hospital, not in laboratories, because oxygen is really dangerous. And commonly used are nitrogen and argon. Oh, here's not argon. Is the nitrogen and argon. These are commonly used in the laboratory because it is safer compared with hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen is colored with red. You can see that it's very dangerous. And also for the carbon dioxide with the green one. I never seen a green carbon dioxide vessel. Yeah, it's rarely seen in the laboratory. So those vessels will be explosive and corrosive, and usually they are toxic gases. You may ask why they are toxic, because the nitrogen gas will be 99.99% purity. So in that high concentration, it's very toxic for your human body. So it's usually they are toxic gases, and especially oxygen should not stored with flammable solvents and chemicals. I think in your laboratory to check if you have any oxygen vessels is very dangerous. Okay. Then the vessels should be stored like this one, with a special cover to put them, then store them inside. Then some the hydrogen concentration is exceed 2%, and not 2%, 3%. The hydrogen concentration more than 3% will be exploded. So some laboratories, if they are commonly used hydrogen, they will have the detector nearby the vessel or in the laboratory to monitor the concentration all the time. Need to below 3%. Okay. So here's the mistake demonstration of the vessel storage, like this one. There's no any how to say that? There's no any belt to cover all the vessels. They are just put side by side, so it's not very safe. And remove the wrench if you do not use the vessel. Then this one is more dangerous than that one, because they are put side by side, but this one is individually, so it will be fall down, maybe damage your equipment or yourself. So they need to be covered by the standards, by the stand, to make sure it will not fallen off. Okay. So you need to use the certified tubes to pump the pressured gas outside the vessel. Do not use the plastic one. Usually the plastic one is not good compared with the steel one. So do not use the plastic one to pump the high pressure vessels, high pressure gases. And if you want to transport the cylinders, use the equipment. I think you You all see the suppliers when you board the new vessels, they will transport the vessel like this one, right? The workers will use his hand to rotate the vessels all the times with two vessel tanks. Don't do that because they are professional. They worked every day, but you are not like them. So use the machines to transport your vessels. Okay, so I think we have a 10 minutes break. Then we go to our last part. Thank you.